Janette Cervin is a really popular local artist at the Vivian, and many of you will be familiar with her work. It's often small scale, scenes from nature in New Zealand. So we asked Janette to do some work for the Vivian at a much, much larger scale, and we've tried to challenge her, and boy, did she come up with something special. These works are monumental and incredibly immersive. You actually feel like you're walking through ancient New Zealand bush when you're in this room. It's the whole of the studio gallery filled with this work, the largest being almost 3 meters wide. There are 4 major works in this series, all of them created exclusively for the Vivian show Botanical at Fantastical.
Hey Jan,
Hi Mandy.
what I want to say first up is how did you congratulations first up. It's an extraordinary body of work that you've made. It's amazing, and I've watched that process slowly. You know, you've just the scale, everything, the vision that you've had to create these works is pretty phenomenal. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was this challenge from Scott to go big. And he suggested that back in, I think, first week of February, that he wanted me to do, quite upscale, huge.
Yeah.
So I came and checked the size of the room, and just decided to go, if we're going to go big, we'll go as big as we possibly can.
I can remember when you were at art school, Carl Morn.
Yeah.
And who was it, Julian Dashper then, and Richard, all challenging you.
I didn't have Julian, but Richard and Carl, especially Carl, he gave me a frame that was probably about that size of that painting, 3 metres by 2 metres, and said, just go really big. If you're going to do floral works, you want to, like his paintings, experience walking into them.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they're small works on canvas, you'll be dismissed and just, people walk past. And
so
just go really big.
Scale in a way is a way of not falling into that sort of niche of I'm a flower painter. Which is because the work looks so contemporary. It's entirely your, how many years of developing this style of painting, which is entirely yours. I don't know anyone in New Zealand that paints, or anywhere paints like you do.
Yeah, it's just it's a technique that I've developed over years from back at decorative art days when I was doing folk art, and it just, when I came along to art, and I decided to go into art school, I went along with my pots and pans and my teapots for an interview with at AUT, I think was one of them, and a few of them, and Unitec, and I took them into Unitec, and Richard was he was impressed, and he was really fine with what I was doing, but just saying, go bigger. Don't lose the skills that you've acquired over the years. These craft and technical skills. Don't lose them. And he was happy for me just to push me to go. Go ahead with what I've already done, and then go bigger and use different materials. And
I think that's probably been when you were doing your masters. I remember discussing with you and talking to you about the idea of working on a flat aluminium as being a means of getting that look that you wanted, seamless kind of paint.
Yeah, that flow and that came about when I did, actually after Carl gave me that big frame to do, that he had got brought over from Florence actually, and he just gave it to me and said, just go, this is the size I want you to do, and just go on this. And I remember I was just so daunted by it. It was huge. And I got stuck, and you said to me, just start painting, just paint your way out of a hole. And so I painted my whole studio, and it was got into this obsessive compulsive thing.
That was fantastic.
Everything just got painted over, and when tutors would come in, they'd laugh about if they stand still, they'd get painted over.
Yeah, but it's true. But when you're making this, particularly the huge one in there, what's the process? Where do you start? Have you got an idea in your head?
I've got an idea, but a lot of it just comes from once you're putting the paint onto the surface, and it's just moving around from that. I don't have it develops, you know. As I go.
I watched you at one point. You were on a table, on a ladder, you know, on a chair. It was amazing balancing act just to get into that top left-hand corner, or that top. It was like, oh, she's going to fall, you know. It was just like incredible that you carried that continuity of the composition. So once you're up there, then you've got to get down and go right over there to have a look at it, then get back up.
Yeah, that was the challenge of doing something so big that you can't, because normally I'm painting, you know, eye level, and you can just stand back. But when you're I was working on top of the table, going along the top area, and you can't stand back because you're having to get down off the ladder and get down again from the table.
You know, the ideas that run with your work, I think, is what people see your work and they go, wow, that's incredible, technically it's incredible, but the ideas, and they're blown away by that they sort of forget to maybe ask the ideas of what is this clash between native New Zealand foliage, native birds, some of them are no longer with us, and also the roses and the sort of obvious, you know, highlighting of probably an English cottage garden, and they're both coming together.
Yeah, it's probably a lot of it for where we live. We live with native bush on either side of us, but we've developed our own garden, and I've got an old home, and I have gone into the cottage garden thing, and then all the natives. So we've got the mixture of the native birds flying across, and we get the rosellas, we get the kururus and fantails and silver eyes, and it's just, you look out the kitchen window and there's just all these mixture of birds.
Yeah, there's no clash in your work though. It's not like you're presenting a clash. It's sort of harmonious, but at the same time it makes you feel a bit like, it's a bit Twilight Zone-y. It's a bit like, what's real? What is it?
Yeah, you know? Yeah, that's the fun bit, because I like the play in the work, and that you're weaving in and out of history. You can see them, you know, hit the moa and the haast-eagle or the huias just tucked away, so nothing is just in your face. That you have a journey through. You through the layers of the paint, and then Jake will put the layer of resin on, and I'll go over top and paint again, and then another layer of resin, so it gets this depth to it, and I can push things right back, so you don't look at the painting and everything overwhelm you at once. It's just, I like the idea of just moving through.
I was watching people last night at the opening, and they were just mesmerised, and it was almost like, where's Wally? They're finding,
that's it.
You know, finding really lovely little surprises and little scenes in the work.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah, it's nice to hear that, because that's the intention that I've got, is just to come across these little oases, little surprises, and you don't see it all straight away.
So you must stop, finish this body of work now, this enormous, you know, scale of works, and then you must go, what now?
Yeah, well, it's a bit like that now. After 3 months of this.
Yeah, so 3 months of focus painting.
Yeah, it was actually full on 3 months, because Scott came up with the idea beginning of February for the show in May, so we just pretty much had to, you know, launch ourselves into it right off. Yeah. And it's been a big challenge for Jake too, to resin a work that size, and he was really quite daunted by it and thinking, oh, we've got to get someone else to do it.
Jake is, you know, the incredible.
He's the
husband and studio assistant.
Yeah, the wind beneath my wings. Yeah. No, I just couldn't do this scale without Jake, and being a real learning challenge for him too along the way, because we've had some disasters with the resin, because it's the final stage of a lot of painting, and then the resin will come on top. So he was at the beginning, it was all quite daunting for him, and there was times that the resin hadn't set, he hadn't stirred it properly, and it would just be like glue a week later. We just had to chuck it. Yeah.
Because you really do feel you can't stand back from these paintings. You are thrown headfirst into them, basically, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's quite an interesting experience. It's sort of overwhelming magical gardenish, isn't it? Wildness.
Yeah, it's a lovely space to put the works in because it's like, like you say, you're just walking in and experiencing it rather than standing back.
And observing a painting.
And observing it from a distance,
No, it is. It's quite unique to be that close up on both sides.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I was listening to, when I was talking to Richard Fahey yesterday, and he was talking about the pentimento and how that came about. And I think when you're right up close like that, you can see the techniques and you can see the different layers.
True.
Whereas when you're standing back,
you see an overall composition.
Yeah. So that I was explaining to him about that came about, the pentimento, and that was another.
What's a pentimento?
It's a term that they use for old masters used it when they were covering up old paintings, and you'd see a hint of the brush mark underneath of the previous works.
Yeah.
And that came about by a happy accident when I was at Unitec and trying to save money with failed paintings. I'd just spray over them all black and because I was using board.
Yeah.
So I'm not very good with canvas, I'm a bit rough. So we'd get the sander out and even it all out, the brush marks. But once I'd sand it with the electric sander, you'd see the skeleton sort of the rose or the hydrangea.
So it's like a shadow of what was there.
And you could see
before.
the shadow of what was there, yeah.
Stunning. So that
became part of the work.
Part of the layering of the work.
Yeah.
So what was there before, you can still feel an echo of it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice kind of metaphor for some of the birds that are no longer with us. And that it's just a lovely, because it's still there. Nothing really goes away.
Yeah.
There's memory.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that was, these things that we've learnt, like the pentimento, it was by accident, and then the reasoning, when that didn't work, and moss would land on it or dust, and originally, when I was doing more landscape works, that would ruin the painting if it was in the sky.
Yeah.
A bug landing in like a fly or a moth, and you'd just be horrified in the morning to go and see it. And then rather than chucking them out, we just decided to sand back, because it was so much, the reason's not cheap, to sand back and just paint something in the middle of the sky. To cover the fly, or cover the moth.
Good, yeah. Happy accidents.
And it was and it broke me away from the landscape thing I was sort of getting a bit stuck in, and made the work a little bit more all over, and it gave it that depth.
Yeah.
So we started painting on top, and then more layers, and some of them have had 3 or 4 layers of resin. So
no, the whole process of that layering gives them an incredible light that it just calls you in. It's just magical, beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Andy.
Congratulations, darling.
Well, I want to say congratulations to you too, because I'm here because you've helped me all. Yes.
No, we're going to get soppy. Turn it off.
No, you've been
it's
fantastic.
so good. The show is frigging amazing. It's brilliant.
Oh, thanks.
It's brilliant. You've done an amazing job. Not to have given up. I would have given up by that stage.
Well, there was a few meltdowns.
I know. A few.
Just a few.
Not to mention the back problems.
Yeah.
Trying to stand up straight.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
That was pretty hardcore.
Yes, and worrying about it, getting up in the middle of the night. I remember, especially towards the end when we were running out of time. Yeah. And I'd get up around 2 o'clock and not sleeping, thinking, and I'd go out to the studio and have a look, and I'd sneak back into bed, and Jake would go, well, what does it look like? And I'd go, either, I don't know, terrible. It's a disaster. Yeah. Or, I'd come back and go, it looks fabulous. Yeah. And so it's just severely like this, because it's such a huge work to do. Yeah. Yeah.
So, thank you so much for taking up the challenge that Scotty threw to you. Because look, it's just incredible, and it's so worthy of celebrating, and just thank you for coming to the Vivian and doing this work. Oh, incredible. And everyone, come and visit. It's an incredible experience just to wander through the show and look at Janette's work and marvel at it, actually. The show finishes, I think, on the 10th of June. So we're open pretty much all the time. So just come up and have a look, enjoy while we have it. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.